So we've got a function, and when they put in values like this, this is a way of doing a question so that they could put a non-calculator type of question on a calculator section, because you can't plug that into your calculator easily, or most likely this question would be on a non-calculator part. Writing down the derivative, well, the derivative here is a straightforward power rule. Bring the 2 out in front, subtract 1 from the exponent. And if k is a constant, then we just get 6x minus 5. Now the equation at the of the graph f of the tangent at point P is 7x minus 9. So this question is sort of working backwards. They tell us the equation of the tangent line. Usually we have to find the equation of the tangent line. So you're going to have to use, okay, what are the strategies that I use to find an equation of a line? How is that going to help me figure this out? Well, let's work through the strategy. When we find our equation of a tangent line, we usually plug in our x value to find our slope. Right? So we would plug in x equals p into our derivative, and then we would find the value to find our slope. How is this question different? We don't know the x value we're plugging in, but do we know the slope? Yes. The slope is 7, because when our equation of our line tells us our slope is 7. So normally we'd plug in x, but this time we don't know what that x is. It's p. And we would figure out what the slope is, but this time we know the slope is 7. So add 5 to both sides. And we find out that p is equal to 2. Okay? Something that helps you figure out what's going on is always a picture, no matter how simple that picture is. Okay? So what we were given at the beginning is we have some parabola, 3x squared. It looks like this. We've got a point somewhere on the parabola. I know that that point needs to be on the right side of the parabola because it has to have a slope of 7, because that's given in my tangent line. So it has to be on the right side of that. And I just figured out that that point is 2 comma something. I need to find the value of k. I can plug in 2 into my original equation, but the problem right now is I don't know k, and I also don't know what that y coordinate is. So the process of thinking through this, I realize I need to find that y coordinate. If I find that y coordinate, then I can plug it into here and find k. So how can I find that y coordinate? Do I have other information that would help me figure out that y coordinate? Well, that y coordinate would also be on our tangent line, because this point is on our parabola, but it's also on our tangent line. That's the point that they have in common. So I look at my tangent line, I say, well, when x is 2, I know that y is 5. So I can figure out that value.
Can I please have the following girl students to please report to room 2B7 immediately? Alul Agwet, Brianna.
Now that I have that point, I can plug it back into my original equation. In my original equation, and I find out that k is 3. a little bit more involved. So in preparation for our exams, I know it's in May, but we already start prepping our thought processes already. This is a typical type of question that says when you get to your exam, the regular stuff, finding a tangent to a line, you need to be so good at that that you could almost do that part in your sleep. So the first questions that we did where I take my derivative to find my slope, I use a point that it's the derivative at and that slope to find my equation line. I have to be really good at that so that when I get this question that's asking the same idea in a different way, I can think about what's the process I normally take, and then how is the information that I'm given, let me work backwards, let me fill in the spaces that are missing. Because they want to test, do you truly understand what's happening in these situations? And the way they like to do that is to say, if we just ask you a regular find equation of a tangent line, you might just memorize the steps and be able to do it. But if you really understand what's going on, then you should be able to do a question like this one. And then you move forward. So they're good ones to practice.